Very good morning to all of you. Old English verbs, nouns, adjectives, and pronouns all the time indicate whether they are singular or plural. Asian languages such as Chinese and Japanese only indicate number. The Old English verbs, nouns, adjectives, and pronouns all the times indicate singular and plural, whereas the Asian language, like the most popular language like Chinese and Japanese, not only indicate number if it is necessary to do so. That fact goes to show that grammatical features of a language are often apparent only by contrast with other languages. So there is a contrast, that means a clear difference between two, and it's always changes according to the development of the time. Take for any language, they are developing according to the changes of the time. The base form is something and they frequently changes, and people appreciate to make that language more subtle and more subtle for the listener, so that they can be attracted to that languages. Old English was a language very much like present day Frisian as Iceland dialect. One of the oldest language, Frisian, Old English languages is very much similar. Now spoken in the most isolated corner of Holland. Now the Frisian language is spoken in Holland. Frisian is English's nearest living relative and is one of Europe's latest changed languages. So Frisian is one of the latest nearest living relative and is one of the Europeans least changed languages. So English is at once like and unlike Frisian. So English is also has a very similar to the Frisian language. Then the question is, why has English changed so much? The very big question is, why has English changed so much? The answer to that question is the development of the English grammar. If we come to that question, why English changed so much, then the answer will be the development of the English grammar. Why it is changes? So variation is there from the ancient to the modern. While Frisian has been a very sheltered language in the last 1600 years, sheltered, that means protected from completely unpleasant things. Sheltered language from last 1600 years, English has a very exposed language. English has a very exposed language from the year 400 to the year 800. Old English changed very little, but in the year 835, from the early to 800 year, Old English literature, Old English language changed very little. But from the year 835, a great force for change arrived in the form of Viking invaders. but there was a drastic change in English languages and English grammar after 835 because of the Viking invaders. Viking are Scandinavian seafaring pirates and traders who raided and settled in many parts of northwestern Europe in the 8th and 11th century. Viking, when we are going to learn a thing, there are certain words come and we just ignore. Don't try to ignore those words, try to understand that things, and you will be in conclusion 50-50, 75-30% that you are right to analyze all those things. When you will be 100%, you will be perfect on that language, on that literature. So Viking invaders, basically Viking, they are the Scandinavian seafaring pirates and traders who traveled here and there and raided and settled in many parts of northwestern Europe in the 8th and 11th centuries. While they were, and the Vikings are simply landing, looting and going home. They made no difference to English because their aim and objective was to landing, looting and going home. So their function was to landing, looting and going home. So they English never affect in that time, in that moment, never changes was there. You will find in literature as well as in grammar in that time. But when they arrived to stay, settle, intermarry and have Anglo-Norse children. Intermarry, when they try to settle there, they have intermarry, that means they marry from different religion, different culture and have Anglo-Norse children and children born. They made a considerable difference. There was a turning point that English has changed its form, changed its grammar, changed its languages, literature. So we'll try to know certain more things about the development of English grammar and English literature in our next class. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you to all of you.